Hello, my friends. How are you doing? I'm so happy to have Josh back because today we will cover a topic that many entry-level Salesforce professionals will be doing. A lot of entry-level sales professionals will be working for Salesforce consulting companies because just where a lot of projects are at Deloitte, Accenture. That's where most of my students actually go for their first work. And I'm so happy to have Josh back because he actually was a Salesforce consultant for a fast-growing startup. And now he has started his own Salesforce consulting company, and he's here to share his knowledge of the industry of this role. Josh, thank you so much for being with me.
Hey, say it. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. How you doing tonight?
I'm awesome because we're going to be covering a very important topic that I think there is a lot of misunderstanding around. Like this weird term, what is Salesforce consultant? It seems like it's just everything that is non-development or non-admin, non-business analyst, and something related to Salesforce. So I would love to hear the perspective of an actual Salesforce consultant. Please tell us, what is a Salesforce consultant?
Well, it's a little bit like being MacGyver, I suspect. So, in my opinion, being a consultant in general is being a broadly skilled, being a little bit of everything, so that you can be the customer's advocate, right? That's what the clients hire us for, is to come in, bring our expertise to bear, know that they can trust us to solve their problem in a way that meets the current industry standards. And it's no different except being a Salesforce consultant, except for our expertise in Salesforce. So we have to be a bit of a BA. We have to be able to understand the client's needs and translate those into technical requirements. We have to be a bit of a project manager. We have to understand, agile project management, waterfall project management. We have to understand a little bit about what it costs to deliver and how to stay within budgets. We have to be able to solution a little bit to get us down the road, at least to speak intelligently to the client when we're sitting there, and we have to be able to translate everything so that the developer can understand what we're saying and then bringing back what the developer says to the client. We have to understand testing methodologies. All of these things come to bear to be a consultant. And so when you see somebody who's growing through the ranks of being a business analyst or BA into a junior consultant and then into a senior consultant, really it's no more than depth and breadth of experience, right? Just going out, getting that education and that experience so that you can see what's coming over the horizon, know the right questions to ask, and the right people to reach out to ask them.
So it's pretty much everything. All you said: BA skills, admin skills, dev skills, project management skills.
Yeah. It's bringing it all together, right? It's that broad range of skills. It allows you to interface with the client, to be their advocate, and let them know about the resources that are out there to solve their problems. If you've got a good consultant, they're aware of all the current and historical possible solutions so they can make a good choice, because you don't always have to do the most expensive, newest thing. Sometimes an old tried and true method is worth it. And that's where the value of a senior consultant comes in. But you can't be a senior consultant without having been a junior consultant. So you need to get in there and dig in and get that experience by saying yes and understanding that, it's all right to fail and figure stuff out.
I see. So you said Salesforce consultant is like the MacGyver in the Salesforce industry. Yeah, he knows.
Indeed.
Has the skills, experience, and knows some development.
Right.
So, yeah, is that correct?
Right. Well, MacGyver never walked in with any tools, right? He walked in with what was in his head and then looked around him and built what he needed. And that's the value of the consultant, is that they have the tools up here so they can look around at what's available and make do with what they have and interact with the people that are available to them. They look at the resources that are there to solve the problem at hand.
Got it. You said they're like a customer advocate. Is that what do you mean by that?
Well, so every partnership is built on trust, right? And when a client hires a consultancy or a consultant, they do so with some degree of trust, and that trust needs to grow over time. We need to be a client advocate to ensure that the client's trust is not misplaced or exploited, right? Because obviously it's possible to have partnerships as a consultant that could render you benefits by recommending a more expensive solution, perhaps, or a more complex solution, because you're going to get more billable hours out of that. And I'm sure there's consultants who don't necessarily shy away from that, right? But as the customer's advocate, as the client's advocate, it's our job to bear in mind that while it may benefit us, it may not benefit them, and to be upfront, honest, and forthright about that, and work to what benefits the client the most, making sure that we keep some of our best interests at bay, so that we can deliver a good quality product at a good quality value at a reasonable time to the client, and they know they can trust us to do so.
Does the consultant manage the project?
I guess it's possible, right? But normally the project manager is designated as the project manager, and so a consultant surely could. But I suppose as the project gets larger, it would be better to have a specialized individual focus on that skill set. But at the smaller project level, even a BA can manage a small project, right?
Got it. Got it. So
Size matters.
the consultant is like an advisor to the client?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Translator even, right? Advisor and translator. Because
Okay.
I mean, the client's an expert at what they do. Let's take property management, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're good at picking out the properties. You understand how to pick out good tenants. You understand how to set up the leases, get everything in line. So it all works out smooth and swimmingly. But you don't know anything about CRMs. You're not supposed to be that expert. What you're looking for is somebody you can turn to, that you can trust to do the job and get it done without having to worry about it. You don't want to necessarily understand every detail about it. You want to understand enough to know it's being done to what you need, and that you could trust the person who's doing it to do it right. And when they're done, you're going to have what it is that you need, right?
I see. I see. So it's like a Salesforce guru. That,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
cool. So when you were a Salesforce consultant at a large company and as a Salesforce consultant right now for your own customers, what do you do typically?
So I think a lot of it for me is keeping relationships and building relationships, talking to the customers and understanding what it is that they need and where I can help stop the pain now and help them prepare for the future, right? So everybody has a problem or has a challenge, something that's causing discomfort. And so they come with what they perceive to be their solution to that discomfort, right? You don't go to your doctor like, hey, I need, well, you actually, when I practiced healthcare, customers came in and said, I want antibiotics. And it was my job to say, hey, listen, you've got a virus. Antibiotics aren't going to make you feel any better. How about we do some symptomatic treatment with over-the-counter medications, and you'll be better in a week or two. And similarly, that's our job with our customers, with our clients, is to help work them to the appropriate solution based upon what their needs are. But we have to really be able to listen and understand what it is, and that's 100% the human connection, developing that relationship, and then understanding that there's a reason we have 2 ears and only one mouth, right? My mentor loves to remind me of that story, is that it's better for us to listen and do less talking because the client's going to tell us what they need. We just have to be able to tease the details out of the entire story that they're sharing with us. It all comes down to relationships.
I see. So you, as a Salesforce consultant right now, you're building relationships with current customers or future customers?
Day in and day out. Day in and day out. I mean, every interaction with a person is an opportunity to build a relationship. And the quickest way to build a relationship, I believe, is to be open, forthright, and offer whatever it is that you have, whatever value you have, offer it, share it, take the risk, trust a little bit. You're going to get burned sometimes, I get it, but most times being open to others and being somewhat vulnerable will help establish that relationship earlier on. And then you can really hear what it is that's bothering them and bring your resources to bear. In my world, it may not be Salesforce always. Sometimes it is. Salesforce is a really good fit for a lot of folks. But like I said before, sometimes it's VBA. Sometimes it's a different solution, but you just have to be able to hear and then bring your experience to bear to help solve their problems. At least offer solutions.
I see. So basically, you, as a Salesforce consultant, you position yourself as someone they can trust, who will come up with the optimal solution for their business in terms of cost, in terms of technology, and they look up to the consultant to advise them on the solution.
That's your goal. That's your goal. I mean, if you're doing your job right, your customers should almost not feel your presence, right? They should feel a great sigh of relief the moment you leave when they're using the product that you built them, and they should never really have to call you back unless they have a new problem to solve. I mean, that's what we really want to do. We want to stop the frustrations and pain, make our customers more successful. We want to do so in a way that's pleasing and non-obtrusive.
If someone wants to be a Salesforce consultant, what are the key 3 skills to become a Salesforce consultant?
Hard work.
Hard work.
Learn to say yes. Go out and get experience. I mean, really, perhaps we could replace get experience with a voracious appetite for learning. To be a good consultant, you have to have the experience to know what does and doesn't work, and enough education behind you to know what's out there to try and use, and then enough to be able to interpret the new things that you find.
I see. You're a Salesforce consulting company. Are you the only person who's a Salesforce consultant there, and the other people are admins, BAs, or are you all Salesforce consultants pretty much?
Oh, I think you've been around the startup world enough to know that there's no such thing as a single role when you're part of a startup. We've been working with terms, right? What's your title? What do you do? I'm the CEO and owner, but I'm also the Salesforce lead and a senior consultant. And so everybody in this startup is a consultant. So Craig, he has a specialty in project management. He has experience and a specialty there. And so, of course, we defer to him on project management related tasks, and he holds the primary role of project management. But he sure does do some consulting along the way as well. So I mean, they're not completely mutually exclusive, right? So James is a Salesforce consultant. He's also a Salesforce admin and an app builder, and he's learning how to do marketing. So I mean, like, everybody does a little bit of everything inside of a startup. And I think that adds to the value of a consultant, right? Because sure, I may be your Salesforce consultant, but isn't Salesforce a CRM, which helps manage your marketing and the sales process? So if I've done marketing and sales, that's going to make me a better Salesforce consultant, at least in that I can understand the words that you're speaking while you're telling me about your processes.
I see. Josh, if you were to interview someone for a Salesforce consultant role, do you interview someone with, like, can someone with just an admin or a developer become a Salesforce consultant? Or how do you become a Salesforce consultant?
I think that's the right question. And the answer is there are many ways to the way, right? Like there's many paths that lead to the way. And so there's a lot of different ways. You just got to go out and ask questions and get the job. And so if all you can find is a volunteer opportunity with an association, then you say yes to that and you get that experience. And then you jump in and get the next experience and you gather certifications along the way. Start with the ad builder, move into the Salesforce admin, get a Salesforce consultant certification. I mean, that's a great way to add consultant after your name, right? Is get a consultant certification. And so, but get out, more importantly, get out there and get experience. The certification just means that you're dangerous enough to go get experience, that you might not break something while you're at it. When I became a paramedic, I wasn't a good paramedic when I got certified. It just meant that I wasn't overly dangerous as a paramedic, that I could probably make it through the day without doing harm. But it wasn't until I was 5, maybe 10 years in, it wasn't until I was teaching EMTs that I learned how to be a good paramedic. It was because I got good at my basics then. And it's the same thing. It's all humans are the same. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We learn in a very similar manner. We gain experience and expertise in a very similar manner. So it's all about positioning yourself to get the experience. And so go get the certification, but the certification is not going to make you good at what you do. It's going to give you the opportunity to begin to learn and become good at what you want to do.
So get certification, work really hard and learn. What else should a person do? Volunteer or
volunteer, get experience, right? Work really hard and learn and get experience. And however you got to get experience, whether you build your own orgs. I mean, do whatever it is you need to. Maybe manage your chores inside of Salesforce if you can't get a volunteer position, you know? I mean, I can't is not an answer. There's always a way. It's just a matter of finding it. How determined are you? I'm sure there's some blockers that are not overcomable, but in general, all you have to do is you have to look and become creative. So if there's no volunteer opportunities, then create one for yourself. Who knows where that'll lead you, right?
Cool. All right. Do you think, for someone who is starting out as a Salesforce professional, do you think being a Salesforce consultant, which one would you recommend? Is it better to be a Salesforce admin, BA, or consultant? What would be maybe easier way to get?
Probably be easiest to be a BA.
BA,
as an entry level, because a BA is a more broadly skilled individual with less specificity. Really, they're good interviewers, right? Being a good BA, I think going to counterintelligence school was probably great training for being a business analyst, because really your job is to tease the requirements out of the client, write them down in a way that the rest of the team can track and understand, right? I mean, that's the job of the BA. I can't think of anything more important to a BA's role, being able to get what needs to be done out of the client.
Okay.
And so that's a more generalized skill set, right? Like you can argue that a bachelor's degree or your associate's degree, or sometimes a bartender, or perhaps sometimes as a medical intake specialist, you know? I mean, there's many roles that would indicate that you have the expertise to interview well, and that you just have to learn the lingo of IT. Right? And so if you have a Salesforce admin cert and you pick up a BA position in a Salesforce consultancy, well, it would seem to make sense that would be a potential logical growth in your career path to move on to the consultant as the next level.
Okay. All right. I agree. Yeah, BA is a good start, right? Something that's like gentle. You learn what it's like to be part of a dev team. You learn the terminology. You get used to using Jira, Salesforce.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like you do in your program, right? Like you do with your boot camp. You run it a lot like somebody who's starting in an IT job. And so they kind of come in and they begin kind of like in that BA role, learning their admin certification. You guys work with Jira. You guys talk about agile methodology. You use the terms, right? Because seriously, your first 6 months to a year on a job, especially if you're new to the field, is just learning the lingo and the processes. Yeah. So that you have queued responses. And so your course does a great job at helping to minimize the time to effectiveness, right? If they've spent 6 months in your course getting their developer cert, sure, they're probably not going to be independent developers, right? They're probably going to be at best junior developers. Probably they're skilled enough to come in and be good BAs, good consultants, to start asking questions and really learning and knowing their limitations, versus somebody who just doesn't have any Salesforce background. but they understand the lingo, they understand the basics of agile and waterfall methodologies, so they don't have to cover that basic ground.
Got it. So BA is a good way to get into being a Salesforce professional, and then probably you can, after some time, become an admin and maybe a consultant afterwards.
Oh, surely, yeah. I would grab that Salesforce admin cert right out the gate. I mean, that's going to be helpful, especially when you're applying for BA positions. I mean, if the company doesn't care about Salesforce, well, then of course it's not going to help you. But if you were really trying to get into Salesforce, I would recommend being a business analyst for a company that cares about Salesforce, and that Salesforce admin cert is going to help. So, you know, we're trying to, if we're talking career transition here, we're trying to bring our broad experience together in a way that the hiring professional can understand that we have the basics to be successful for them in the role that they need. And so we're trying to articulate that. So having Salesforce admin behind our name makes it easier to say, oh yeah, we know Salesforce a little bit.
Once a person becomes a Salesforce consultant and they've gained experience, they become very good at it, what's next after this? Where do they go? Do they become senior Salesforce consultant? Do they become director or manager or developer? Is there a career path?
You know, the Container Store's got a really great position on this. They don't force people who are good at doing sales into sales management. If you're good at being a manager, they'll let you be a manager. If you're good at doing sales, they'll let you do sales at all. But they give everybody the equal earning potential. It's a shame that you got to climb into the director positions and stuff if you want to get the higher level pay. No, I don't think that once you become a consultant, the only way up is out of doing what you love. You can just continue to be really, really good at being a consultant, and people pay a premium for that. You can move on into the Salesforce solutions architect space. I think that's a place where a consultant is a natural growth for a consultant, and then you could really grow into that architect space even more aggressively. If you want to be a manager and you want to be a director and you have those skills and you're good at it, go for it. But being a consultant doesn't mean you're good at being a director. Different skills. Good
thing you mentioned being a solution architect. What's the difference between a solution architect and a consultant?
Oh my God, I think a couple of zeros behind the paycheck, maybe a lot of school. You really need to know what you're doing. It's not enough to know that Salesforce can do it. You have to be able to walk step by step down through how to do it. Not only that, not only can you do everything the consultant can do, but then you can work through and write the architecture of that program enough so that you can hand it off to a dev team, to your admin team, to your testers, and they can just go to work and do it. And they don't have to think about it too much. And so, and that's a great degree of education and experience. I mean, say how many years do you have in Salesforce now? Because you're a developer.
6 years.
6, right? So you're probably at this point, you've probably got enough to be a pretty decent solutions architect on the majority of solutions that you're familiar with and platforms that you have experience in, right?
Yes.
You could probably walk through and give me a generalized breakdown of what needs to be done. Guesstimations. Oh, humans are terrible at estimates, so let's not even begin to believe that anyone can estimate properly. But you could put a large T-shirt, right? This is going to be a big effort. This is going to be a small effort. And you could be able to work down through it without a lot of effort. And that's what an architect can do.
I see. Cool. Thank you very much, Josh. You answered pretty much.
You're welcome, Sid. Thanks for having me.
What it means to be a Salesforce consultant. If you guys have more questions, please leave them in the comments. I hope Josh can check them out sometimes and answer them. I will do my best also to answer them. But I hope the topic of what it means to be a Salesforce consultant is now more clear. And one of you become a Salesforce consultant and can share your success story in the comments. Thank you so much, Josh.
You will say it. Thank you.